Hey there, neighbor. Well, I'm very tired, so and my eyes are watering. But the real reason for my eyes watering is I spilled a bunch of soup on this radiator style electric heater, and it's like last time I talked to you, it was hot. Got to 43 degrees last night. There's no, I think I covered that before, but some of y'all might not remember that. But there's only one register in my bedroom. I moved in here originally 10 years ago in June, so I did not understand the issue of how cold it was going to be in this room. But I had somebody turn me on to these oil filled radiator looking heaters that use absolutely no electricity somehow and will heat up your whole room. But do not spill soup, coffee, tea, or anything on them. And then because it gets baked on there, so I spilled some teriyaki noodle soup on the heater while it was hot. And of course, I turned it off right away because I'm worried about it getting inside and, getting in the wiring and stuff and killing the thing. And so I'm like, I got to clean this thing off. You do not clean off an electric heater. It's like I soaked it in like rags of soapy dishwater for like ever and made almost no dent in any of it. So I don't even know where to begin as far as like cleaning that off, but that didn't work. But now every time I use it, it makes my eyes water, and plus I'm sleepy. So this might be a very weepy episode of Steve Theater. But yeah, this morning I spent just a few hours like getting my appointments arranged. First, I had to find out when my appointment was with my cardiologist, which I thought was Dr. Gross, but I'm going to see somebody named Rose, which I think is the nurse practitioner. I don't know. It's all a bunch of bullshit anyway, so I can get my blood thinner pills, which I should take right now because I'll forget otherwise. I already have another bottle of these. I'm always forgetting to take them. I have to remember to take them, and then I have to forget to take them when I go to the dentist next Monday in a week. So I arranged my transportation for my appointment to the dentist next Monday, and I had these. The cool thing about these pills is like within 24 hours they're out of your system somehow. I was reading up on it because the last time I went to the dentist I didn't read up on it and I didn't take them for like 3 or 4 days. So that's 3 or 4 days without thin blood, which if you have AFib can be a problem. So, anyways, dig around in here and grab one of these things. You just jump out. So, anyways, I got all that squared away, but you have to sit there and you have to like wait for them to call you back to arrange the transportation. You can't miss the call. So that's what my morning was taken up doing. I did not get a lot of sleep. Been having trouble going to sleep because the pain in my leg's been not in my left leg, the last leg I complained about, but my right leg, which used to be my good leg, which got the Baker's cyst thing in it. I've been doing little bits of housework here and there, and my leg don't like it. But it's got to be done. Somebody has to do it. The aid workers aren't allowed to do it because of the COVID thing. So, I started like, first of all, I had to clear the bathroom sink and plunge the bathroom sink. And then I was like, I need to clean the bathroom sink. And it's like, I got to cut up these cardboard boxes and clear that space. And it's like very little things that I can get done before my leg just starts screaming at me and then I start to get a wobbly. So that's not good. And I haven't been walking. If I use up my energy for walking, I'm not going to have the energy. It's not really energy because I really want to do it. I mean, I really want to do stuff, but I can't do it because the leg won't let me do it. It's not a matter. I've never could imagine this, but I want to do housework. It's crazy, I know. I want to do housework, a lot of housework, but I'm not allowed to. My leg won't allow me to do it. It's not a matter of energy. It's a matter of like falling over, leg hurting, and then I have to take the Neurontin, which I've been taking. But the house has to be cleaned at some point. I mean, the COVID thing, I mean, it's like it has to be clean. It doesn't matter if I don't have two good legs. And it just reminds me how close I am to like assisted living or something like that. And it's not fun, but whatever. I can still walk, so other people can't. So I just checked the SARTA thing. I I guess I'll read an article or two about it to see if like it says they're not taking any booking today. They always take bookings every day, so I'm thinking they might be shut down for COVID. I don't know, but all I logged in and it just says we're taking no bookings today. It's never seen that before, so I was planning, like I said, on taking a trip to the brother that wouldn't take me in for 3 months. I was going to take a trip to his house on the bus to get me ready to take a trip to go to the dentist because I've been trapped inside and I don't get outside because I don't really. I got the front porch, which means interacting with people that I hate, or I got the back there, and I should be sitting back there, but I don't know. It's just boring sitting out there. Uh, you know, there's nothing to look at back there. You've seen what's like back there. It's boring. There's nothing going on back there. Maybe I'll see a groundhog. I used to play a game when I used to sit out in the sun, and they used to have landscaping back there. Like this was years ago. Same groundhog, except for he's bigger now. But they're incredibly aware of their surroundings. So I would sit still, and he has a gigantic, like deluxe condominium of a hole with a slate roof. Even I checked it out, and it's just it's just like the ultimate groundhog pad. And sit beside there, because I'd follow the sun around, and he would pop his head out of the hole to see if it was safe to come out. And if they can't smell you, an animal only reacts to movement. So I'd like turn my eyes, and I would try to slowly turn my head, and I could never turn my head slow enough, man. Boop, back down in the hole he'd go. So I could never. He would never come out while I was sitting out there, but he's still back there, and he's just gigantic. Like he used to like when I would lower out. I just throw cat food out the window now, like bird seed. But when I used to lower trays of cat food out there, when I had like two cats living here, and yeah, he used to come and rob their cat food and stuff. And I was real pissed at him for raiding my garden back there too. I remember that one year I was like, he had me so pissed off. I was like, I'm gonna fill in your hole. He's got this gigantic, like I said, man. It actually has like a slate rock roof to this. He's got this ultimate groundhog pad, man. It's like a condo on Hilton Head at the beach. And I was like, man, I'm gonna throw some rocks in. I'm gonna find some way to fill that up because I was so pissed at him because he was chewing his way through the fence into my garden that I had back there and eating up all my vegetables. And when an animal eats the vegetables, they don't like, eat the whole vegetables. They just despoil everything. They just like take a few bites out of one and then they get tired of that one. And then, there'd just be all these tomatoes there that were half eaten. And I was like, motherfucker's eating all my tomatoes. And there was, he would like burrow underneath it. And so I had a groundhog war that one uh, harvest, whatever the harvest time was for tomatoes. I don't remember. But I had all these like bamboo stakes, and I would like I took the neighbor's brick and I put a brick there and buried it so he couldn't burrow underneath there. Of course, he just goes over to the next spot and chews a hole through the fence and forgets the whole burrowing thing, and it's just, it got to be like pointless. I had to offer up a gopher mobster tribute to the groundhog. It's like he has to get his cut. He has to dip his beak and get his cut because he was here before me and he's got his staked out little gigantic groundhog hole. So I was really mad at him that one year. But I decided, like, live and let live. And then it got all overgrown back there. And then I had too much problems with my legs. I had problems with my leg when I had tomatoes back there. But problems with my leg got worse and worse. And of course, gardening is actually a war. It's a war against bugs. It's a war against weeds. You got to get on your hands and knees and weed. And then back there, it's a mosquito nightmare at certain times of the day. And watering it was always a pain in the ass and difficult for me. I think I described my watering system, which is like pouring gallon jugs of water into buckets out the window because the landlord wouldn't turn on the hose for the pretty women that lived upstairs so they could wash their cars. I never, got around to asking him to turn on the hose and allowing me, even though I had like a gigantic garden hose that my niece gave me to run water back there so I wouldn't have to do that. So I would fill up gallon jugs of water and just aim for these buckets out the bathroom window about 15 feet down, jug after jug. And then I couldn't walk, on level ground of the garden without falling and killing all my vegetables. So I would just stand back and throw the water, it's like throw water over the tomatoes. And there was some green peppers planted back there and some other stuff. There was, I think, a watermelon thing that never made it. And there was butternut squash plants. They never made it. And there was some kind of wax pepper that did good. But anyways, so that's all ancient history. Now I'm just trying to like walk without falling over in my house, let alone, trying to walk through an uneven garden between these little tiny rows. I'm thinking like, well, if I fall down, I'm going to just like smash all my vegetables and all the stakes that they're on, and I'll fall into the tomato cages that are made out of wire. But anyways, yeah, tooth isn't bothering me yet. I'm putting like this antibiotic stuff in the cavity and rinse my mouth out with peroxide here and there, and then Listerine here and there, and you know, but I haven't gone anywhere, done anything in so long. Having anxiety and cabin fever and shit. I wanted to go arrange a trip somewhere, so I don't really want to contact. I got somebody I can contact that said if you ever need to get out of the house, but high stress person in a very high stress situation right now, so counterproductive if I want to reduce my stress by throwing myself in that situation. I mean, I was going to call him until I got sleepy, finally break down and call him. Speaking of which, I got a call from my best friend, who's 65 years old, and we were having a regular conversation, and he's like, "I gotta go. My mom's in the yard. I think she fell." And I'm like, he didn't bother hanging up the phone, so I'm listening, and I'm like, "Okay, she sounds like she's okay," you know. And then I hung up the phone. I eavesdropped for a little while, and then I called him back. And what happened was, is um, she's uh, he says it's dementia. I don't know if the doctors diagnosed it as such, but she's kind of there and not there. She was calling me Howard for a while, and they have to explain to her, like, like I say I love you, and they have to like have a English interpreter for me, even though we all speak English. And sometimes she knows who I am, and it's one of them deals. So I've been kind of down and out, so I haven't, you know, I wanted to like call her like every 2 to 3 days. And I hadn't called her for a week, so I spoke to her briefly on the phone. And yeah, it's the kind of thing where you need to see somebody in person. So maybe I can call him, and that will be very highly stressful for me. Because it will remind me of my mother. You know, that's my mother's sister, so uh, it'll remind me of my mother. And you know, I don't, I don't know how long that visit would be or how long it would take or anything like that. Plus, I'm exposing myself to COVID-19. I'm clean. Like, I can be around an old person. They don't have to worry about it because I'm in quarantine and I'm in isolation. I'm as isolated as you get without being in solitary confinement. I mean, I do receive packages in the mail, and I've had a couple of people in here. And I had my niece sneeze over top of my microwave that one time. Not sneeze, she blew her nose, like I said, and that was like when COVID was at its height in Ohio too. I was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Now I got to invite more people on here in here because you can't have a one-person firing squad. I don't want you to feel guilty if I catch COVID and die because at the time, I mean, I still catch COVID and die because I'm in the high risk category. But if you only she's the only person that's coming to see me, and I die, the process of elimination, you got to have. With I've made this joke before, of course, but you got to have a firing squad with one guy with an empty chamber, so everybody can lie to themselves and say I had the empty chamber. There's doubt cast in there, so I compared it to that. I thought it was clever and amusing. I'm not sure what she thought about it, but I said I'm kind of serious. That wasn't cool. She says I know you're serious. We're both laughing about it. You know, um, we both been through some things, so um, yeah. So that's kind of what's going on with me. I got a new alarm clock, which I can actually see. It is 150 something. I am blind as a bat. I mean, these are plastic lenses, but they got the bifocals and stuff. I'm very blind, but this it's a nice blue shade and it's bigger, and I can see that. I think it's 116. Let's see if that's right. Yeah, I got it for cheap too, and you know I like it. So it's the damn Walmart thing where you got to order something and you got to have $35 worth of stuff, or you're just wasting $6. So it's like, well, I do need a new alarm clock because the other alarm clock's about dead, and that's the one that the cat knocked over and broke the glass on the front of it, and um, caused that thing where I got actually. It's funny how things work out, but like I've told that story before, like because he knocked over the alarm clock, I didn't read it right. It was the only clock I had running in the house at the time, besides phone, and I just looked at that clock. We'll put it that way. So I read it wrong, and I read the five. I read the six as a five, or the five as a six. However that would work out. It's just details. The point is, that's the story where I was like, oh, I got to talk to this Warbeck guy. I know his reputation. I know he's trouble, but I've been hearing things like he's got some kind of cold war going against me over something, and he's talking shit about me. So I better go out and talk to him. I go out about 10 minutes before my appointment. I ended up going out an hour early, and it changed the whole course of my summer because we had like this deep conversation, and plus he had cigarettes, so I sat out there smoking cigarettes before my appointment. Like April or May of like last year. Anyways, new alarm clock. So this one, the five don't look like a six, or the six don't look like a five. I forget which, and I'm not going to work it out in my head because I'm going on very little sleep. I thought maybe doing a video would be good to help keep me awake. So you know, but that's really, I don't have much else to report. Um, like oh, I didn't even like finish the. It shows where I'm at. I didn't even finish my. I think she's 85, 86, somewhere in the upper 80s. But what happened was is she was left alone for like a half an hour, and she fell, and she was told to like call the neighbors for anything, you know. But she couldn't get up, so she couldn't reach the phone. So she crawled out onto the lawn. She didn't fall out on the lawn. So, my friend was like freaking out. But really, she did that on purpose, and I could hear him saying, well, why didn't you just stay in the house? And she said, I was just trying to get to the neighbor's house. Then I talked to her and I said, yeah, they're always trying to get me to wear these medic alert bracelets in case I fall, because I live alone. And, um, you know, but yeah, she is okay. I mean, I didn't ask if she was bruised up or anything like that. This happened a couple of days ago. I think Saturday. So I'll call them a little bit. It's challenging talking to somebody with, dementia. So, it's also challenging because when she's there, you have to watch what you say. You can't say anything that's like takes everything like really seriously. So I can't say like any of the details of my shitty life because she will be like, oh, it'll make her feel bad stuff. So, you know, that's a place I could go. I have to go somewhere. I mean, it's not the reason why I didn't go to the dentist. The reason why I didn't go to the dentist is because my stomach was just totally jacked up and my left leg was hurting really bad. Um, but there's no this time, I gotta go. So just have to be careful. And if I have to, you know, take a Neurontin 2 and 3 at a time because of the pain in my leg. So I'm thinking, I need to walk, but then I'm having trouble sleeping, and I don't like to walk at night. I don't like to walk in the daytime. I like to walk in the morning. So, but I'm not sleeping in a timely fashion. Too much pain. It's not like a lot of people have trouble shutting their brains off. Like I can do that without any trouble. If I'm not, that's why I don't like to talk to my brother. Or he's the only one that calls me like late, but he'll call me like late because he keeps weird hours, and sometimes that'll wake my mind up. But if like I don't have like racing thoughts or like you know worries don't keep me awake. If I don't have anything like super stressful to do the next day, uh, I mean it's not an issue with me. Now, what I have to do, I guess, if I can wake up enough to do it, is call Coleman and try to get this app on my phone so I can get my medication and get this volume stuff. Like I'm on schedule as far as the volume. I'm not ahead, or I'm not behind on it. The last time I checked, which was a couple of days ago, so you know I might even be ahead on it now. I don't know, but I was like maybe one pill ahead, but I'm like right on. schedule. 3 pills a day. So the bad part is I didn't go to the appointment on the 28th, and then because I wanted to go to the dentist appointment, and then so I put off going, talking to the guy who prescribes the volume until the 4th for an appointment I never made on the 28th. But I have to like call him and ask him about this app. I don't think I can count on the real estate agent to help me out with this. I could try, I guess. Maybe I'll do that. I'll text him and say, hey, you remember when you said you was gonna? He'll be like, what are you talking about? Well, I thought you were talking about, like, we talked about it like the day before, and he had no clue what I was talking about. And it's like, yeah, that app you said you was gonna send me that I need for my face-to-face interview because I can't get my prescription without a face to face. So they're making a compromise and they're doing a face to face over a phone, but you have to have a specific app and a smartphone to do it with. They won't use Skype or anything like that because I was like, I could get Skype going on the computer maybe. You know, and they're like, no, we use this. Okay, rigid people. Um, so I have to call them and maybe I'll text that dude and see if he texts me back. But he don't seem to all too interested in me these days, so I haven't heard from him for like a long time. Um, and like I said, he forgot like the next day. So last time I talked to him, I said, "Look, appointment's not for a while, so I'll just bug you later." You know, and I made some joke. Oh, teeth wait for no man instead of time waits for no man. Even because I said I don't really want to go out in the COVID world and have strangers stick their fingers in my mouth, but teeth wait for no man. And that's the last thing I said to him, was like, we'll get to that later, but I had like some depression and stuff where I didn't want to do stuff. The appointment's coming up on the 4th and it's the 1st, so needs to be addressed. Um, yeah, I mean, I got like 100 odd extra pills. I don't know how many. It's over 100, and they're double the dose that I'm being prescribed, so it's like 200 some pills. So it's not really an issue, you know. Like I'm good for a few months, um, but I don't want to do that way because this guy's stockpiling like 110 milligram volume pills. What's going on here? Well, at least I ain't selling them. They're worth a lot of money, man. For the 5 milligram ones, I used to pay like $3 a pill minimum. That was like a good deal. The illegal pill market, pretty brutal. Those drug dealers, man, you don't get no discounts with them. It's like coffee. You don't get any break for buying the bigger thing of coffee. Coffee costs what coffee costs. Uh, but, anyways, uh, mood wise, I took care of what I had to take care of this morning. I didn't get a lot of sleep. It's very sunny outside. Haven't felt much like going back there and sitting outside. It's just fucking boring. And just don't, I don't know. I don't know what my deal is about that. For one thing, I can't sit out there very long because I've been inside so long. I'm basically powder, which is a horrible reference. An albino, Johnny Winter, Edgar Winter. I mean, I don't know. Pick your pale skin, fish belly white reference of your choice. You know. Um, but it's like I'm gonna go back there, sit in the sun for like 10 minutes, and that's all I can take, and then come back in so I don't get sunburned. I mean, it's not even worth the effort. There's the place I have to sit is actually one of the few places where the sun hits back there. So there's like a concrete thing that I, and then there's like all this ground that's not tended to, and there's my ruined garden. It's not even an empty garden like the guy with the piano, Elton John, sang about. It's just a ruination of a garden back there, and there's not a whole lot of ground back there, but it's all overgrown, and it's not something I would want to be walking on, since I have trouble walking across level surfaces. So I kind of, it's got like a little sidewalk. After you go down these broken up concrete steps that are only like that big, and my feet are like that big, and it's like tricky walking down them. And then another thing is like the railing is completely covered with poison ivy, so I'd have to actually wear a glove, and a flannel shirt. I was looking at the railing because I can see it through the window, and it's like, well, you can kind of see it. Nah, the light won't allow you to, but just trust me. There's vines growing up the side of the window. You can't see them because of the light. Hey, wait a minute. I move the light source and nothing happens? Okay. You are an ineffectual light. But it's like, yeah, you can't see them because of the way the light is. But they're there, trust me. And I'm not really interested in getting poison ivy. I'm uncomfortable enough, thank you. Uh, that kind of needs cleared away. And see, the originally when I moved in here, this place was being managed by a guy that hired a landscaping crew that came back there and cleared all that shit out. But as soon as Gerald, who only cares about the color green, he loves the color green so much that he leaves it real green back there and doesn't, he fired the landscaping company, and no landscaping gets done back there at all. So it's just a freaking jungle. And that's like the first thing he did was fire the landscapers, lock the basement door, and turn off the water to the outside. He was going to make this into a money machine, and I think it just worked out that way. That at first it was okay. I think he just like lucked into like decent people, but I don't think he ever cared who he put in this building. You know, um, yeah, it just worked out that like, he's like a guy at a crap table. He was starting out with sevens and 11s, and then he got to the snake eyes and the box cars. And for like years in a row. Um, but yeah, I'm paid up here till um, July 1st. Uh, yeah, I haven't really decided. It's super cheap living here. It's like a chance to save money. The Chris guy doesn't ever seem to be around, and that's one of my main worries is avoiding that in that case. And last summer he just like sat on, love sitting on a porch sitter, those porch sitters, he loves sitting on the porch. So he's kind of unavoidable. And Stampy just, she don't sit on the porch. As far as I haven't caught her. She was talking on the phone that one day. I think she was on her way in, but she just walks the dog out and walks the dog back in. So, besides being trapped in this room, this place is more tolerable than it was last summer. You know, I mean, I still want to move, but I gotta get my tea situation situated, and I don't know. It's just a lot of things to deal with. I found out like I don't know if I mentioned that, but like when I called the number that for my cardiology appointment, they were like, "No, we just do gastrointestinal." You know, they used to have both in the same office buildings. Like, oh, we split. So my new cardiologist works for like the Cleveland Clinic. So I was like, I never know. Like, maybe I can get a referral from the cardiologist to the Cleveland Clinic for CRPS and address some of my problems through them, and that way get help with my knee. I don't have a primary caregiver right now to. I don't know where I left it with Omni Orthopedics, but I remember that was the last orthopedist that would take my insurance. So it's just a lot of stuff. It's just a lot of stuff. Then you add in the family garbage, and you add in like the daily suffering and torment and everything. It's a bit overwhelming, and yeah, and moving. That's another thing about moving is like the person that has the storage lockers. They got like old drama going on in their lives right now. Of course, and it's not to inconvenience me. It's just the way things are, and I don't even want to bug them about it. But it's like that was my plan. Is like I got just throw all this stuff in the storage locker. They already offered to do it for free. Store my stuff for free, and then move into my brother's house for 3 months. Like I said, fix his house up, have a nice 3 months summer, and then ditch the cat. The plan that I had that uh, my brother decided to renege upon, and then say like, "Oh, I never said yes. You said I could think about it." And I was like, "That was after you said yes." I said, "Well, give it a couple days and think about it." Meaning like you'll see it's a good idea and it's beneficial to you, you know. But I wasn't completely surprised by him changing his mind because, like I said, nothing is more terrifying to me than family. And the more I hear about my family, and it's like I'm always learning new things. Like the whole in the last video I did, the whole thing about the Hatfield and McCoys versus Burkowski's versus Barton war that I was peripherally a part of. Um, where like I went to the pond, and they said, just be on the lookout, because this lady will come out and she will shoot at us. I'm like, okay, I didn't know how serious to take them. Because, the next minute they're like fucking with this other dude because the pond was like ice cold and the dude jumped in there and they're tougher than shoe leather. He's like, come on in, the water's fine. Meanwhile, the water's fucking freezing. So the guy jumps in there and starts woo, making all kind of noises and shit, and then running out of the water, um, and then laughing at him. So thought maybe they're joking about that, but then he tells me this whole tale of madness and war based on an alleged attempted rape from 40 years ago between the two families. So it's like the more I learn, the less I like. You know, so you know, I do remember the horse that he was talking about. Old lady Burkowski supposedly murdering. Horse's name was Thunder, and yeah, that wasn't the most. They had Thunder and they had Sugar. They had two horses. Guess which one was the nice horse? Pretty easy. And it did bite me though, so I'm pretty sure it bit me. One of those horses bit me. I know that for sure because I was like, shit. You know, it wasn't more like shit. It was more like a scream, but it was like, they got dull teeth, and I had a shirt on, and it just left like that double horseshoe teeth print, where it like almost breaks the skin, and then later on in my life, I was in a fight with that dude, and he bit me on the upper thigh, and it made me think of that horse bite. I was beating him up, and his only recourse was to try to bite my nuts off. So he bit me in the thigh, and it's like, oh yeah, that just looks like a horse bite because he's biting me through jeans. I mean, I don't think horses have canines. I don't think they're you know they don't eat meat, so since we're omnivores, we eat meat and plants, so that's why we got the canines and skinny front teeth. I think they're just all grinders because they eat plants. But anyway, that's enough about horse physiology. Uh, Not sure if I had any point to any of that other than to check in and hopefully using my mind a little bit maybe woke me up some. And I did set the alarm for 6 o'clock this morning, even though I maybe had 5 hours sleep tops. And maybe I'll drink another cup of coffee and risk it. I had to take a blood pressure pill because my heart was going a little quick, and so that should inoculate me against the coffee. And yeah, the pain in my legs is in my right leg has just not been great. I don't know what the deal was before the dentist where I had all the pain in my left leg, but it switches up from time to time. Keeps you guessing. Variety is the spice of life, after all. So uh, it's weird. Like I was so hot to trot to move out of here, and now I'm just like I'm just tired. I'm just tired. I put in the effort. It's clear it's going to be all up to me to make the phone calls. I thought this dude was like going to help me out instead of just like hooking me up with apartment.com and sending me emails and then forgetting the shit that I'm saying and stuff. So, yeah. I was actually dumb enough to think, like, I don't know. Who knows with people? I don't operate like other people, so. My house, everything was taken very seriously, so you just didn't just say shit. It had fucking consequences, you know. My dad hated lying and untruths of any kind. So, if somebody says something, my brother to this day, like I said, his word's 99.9% good. And he was just being impulsive when he said um, that he let me stay over there. Because he will deliberate over the smallest things, like, because he doesn't want to give his word unless he can come through with it because of the environment that we were raised in, where, you kind of want to, keep your word. I've been watching a lot of Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, and you kind of want to keep your word to murderers. It's kind of a good policy. So it's just, when people tell me things, I'm still gullible to this day. Like, I believe them. People like say stuff, I just assume they're serious. You know, um, I like follow through. It's not because it's not serious. It's because my spirit's willing and the flesh is weak. I wanted to work like, especially once I get started. But I was like, oh, cleaned out the sink, did the dishes, washed some clothes, cut up some boxes, cleared off the sink, unplugged the sink. I want to do more. Can't. Legs like I'm almost falling over. You know. I'm like, come here, come back, kitty. It's cool. He's like, nope, I ain't getting nowhere near you. Your big ass ain't falling on me. And I pick up the cheese that I scared him away from, and I throw him the cheese across the room towards him, where he ran as I was stumbling and catching myself. But it's like, you know what? Once I the get active, get the juices flowing, it's like, man, that toilet needs cleaned out real bad. I need to like get a mop with some bleach water in here, and I need to do this, and I want to do that. And it's like, nope, can't do it. So yeah, so that's usually why I don't do the things I say. Is I'm not physically able to do them. Occasionally, I'm too stressed out to accomplish them. You know, I don't know why. I've been saying that I want to sit back there in the sun and catch some rays, but like I said, it's just be irritating. Oh, 10 minutes, I'm done. You know, you're like, well, maybe you could put on sunscreen. It's like, well, it kind of defeats the purpose if I want to process some vitamin D. Um, so I don't know. I was thinking about like how hard it is to be old because it's like I'm 52, but it's like I've been old for 5 years because I've had two bad legs and I got like old people issues with digestion and other issues and fatigue now that old people suffer from and you know extra aches and pains and shit. But once that leg went bad, it's like leg went bad when I was like 47. I kind of went from 47 to 70, and that's not cool. And I haven't like had the ambition to pick up the weights again. I just haven't felt like it. Uh, I never said anything about being continuing with the weights. It's just like I like to do it, but it's frustrating because of my legs. Like I'm limited in what I can do with them. And now I get the fun of going to the dentist. And I should quit bitching about that because at least I got the insurance to go to the dentist. And the tooth is not a raging toothache or anything. It just feels weird. Whether they'll be able to save it, I don't know. Whether it's going to cost me $1,000, give or take, to get a cap or a crown or whatever it is where they shave the teeth down and then put something on top of it. I don't even know if it's a crown or a cap or what the fuck it is or what the difference is. I don't know. I just know it's expensive. So, eh. But things ain't all that terrible. It's just, um, I'm not, you know, deeply depressed. A little thick headed from not sleeping. But, I still, like I don't have a lot of outside pressures weighing upon me. I don't have familial support, which nothing new there. I'm kind of an idiot because, you know, I think more like an insane person because insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, according to Einstein. And like I always go back to my family, and I always have issues. And this reminds me of something I'll close with since this is long enough and my hand's falling asleep for some reason, which I don't know. But when I was young and I had my 20-year-old, when I was 20, and I went in the woods and went on my accidental vision quest, not even knowing what a vision quest was or anything about Native American culture at all. I, you know, went and walked, I don't know, 8 miles one way and then 4 or 5 miles the other way. And I got picked up by somebody in a pickup truck that I knew, which was weird because it was really timely. They were like, "What the hell are you doing out here?" And I'm like, "Walking. Where are you walking from?" I told them where I was walking from. And they're like, "Well, get in that truck." It was actually a nurse that was visiting me in the home uh, when I was 20. Um, yeah, I think I was. That was when I know it had something to do with me, my urinary deal. You know, I remember I was like, I didn't want to. She was attractive, and I did not. I was 20 years old and horny as fuck, and I did not want to do that in front of no 20-year-old woman and get a boner because I've already had that experience before, and I did. It was embarrassing the first time. So I told him like I really don't want her to do that. So they brought in somebody else, and she was like, "Am I old and ugly enough for you?" You know, I'm 20 years old. She made a joke out of it. She said, "See, uh, nothing to it." And I remember asking her about it, and I still remember to this day the thing that she said. It's like you're not going to get infections if you're careful. Because at the time, you know, they have you open. They were having me like open up new kits and using fresh catheters all the time, and it's like, I was like you can't afford that. You know, you have to use the same one, and they have a sterile technique they call it, and clean technique. And they said you can use clean technique, and I remember this till my dying days. She said, "Cause it's your own bugs." And I'm like, "What?" She said, "It's your own germs." It's like as long as you know, as long as you're clean about it, the only germs you'll be introducing is you know your own bugs. She used to have phrases. It's your own bugs. I'll never forget that. But anyways, that was my life is weird. So that was like when I had my vision quest. And the reason why I brought up my vision quest is because it had to do with my family. I was all like, when you go through an experience like that, which is the X experience, the religious experience, the born again experience, you are like reborn. You are like full of energy, man, and bigger. And it's like, it really is like being born again. You're like, wow. So I had all this energy and stuff. And I decided to go to a family reunion. I hadn't been to a family reunion on the good side of the family for like years. So I walked into the wrong family reunion. And they were like, oh, yeah, you know, because they have these pavilions set up, right? And in these places. So I walked into the wrong family reunion. I didn't even know, didn't see any of these people for years. And they were like, I was like, you remember me? I'm so and so. And they're like, oh, yeah, yeah. And they were all like hugging me and like, you know, do you want a beer or you want something to drink or you know and I'm like oh I'm good, you know. It's like it's good to see all of you. And I realized these people are all strangers. It didn't take me long, and it's like, oh, I walked into the wrong family reunion, but they're all welcoming and they're all strangers and they're all welcoming and warm to me. And then I walk into the real family reunion and they're all cold as ice because they knew who I was, and they were like, you know, standoffish. And I was like, I should have took that as a sign, but I'm not like a sign kind of guy. I only believe in dreams. The only thing I really believe in is I believe in a eternal thing behind everything, and I believe in dreams. Um, I don't, but I don't believe in like, oh, this is a sign or that's a sign or whatever. Or I was walking in the spirit that day, and I got a message from God to turn to strangers and to leave my family alone, that my family is not really on my side or whatever. But my family was like really cool. The actual family reunion I walked into that wasn't my family was real nice to me and was slapping me on the back and offering me drinks and stuff. The other family reunion, they weren't drunk either. You know, they weren't. It wasn't like a bunch of drunks. But the other family reunion that I walked into, that was my actual family reunion, man, I got a very cold reception. Like, what are you doing here after your 3 or 4 or 5 year absence or however long? You know, it was just, and I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. I didn't really make anything out of it at the time. But now, having, you know, it's like, maybe I would have been better off if I, like, interpreted that as a sign, like, just to go your own way. Strangers are going to be nicer to you than your family, you know. And it pains me to say that, and my family would probably, you know, be chagrined at that. But I would have like numerous examples to fight back with if they wanted to debate, which I hate debating with people. Um, but yeah, that happened, and that was weird. to walk into the wrong family reunion and just get accepted by everybody, and everybody's like all over you, patting you on the back and hugging you. There's people hugging me and patting me on the back and offering me stuff to drink and saying the food's almost ready, and then I walk into my actual family and they're all cold and like they look at me like, you know, we don't know you. Oh yeah, you're that one guy. Because my face never really changed between, as my sister used to say, up until around the age of 35, she said, you always look the same. It's like you never really changed once you reached adulthood. You never really aged. She'd always comment on the aging gracefully. And I think she made that comment because I started to lose my hair when I was around that age. She was like, well, that's the only thing that's different about you. Your face is like the same. And, you know, you, you actually look younger than your 35 years, uh, whatever time that was. I'm just guesstimating. I don't keep real good track of time. Uh, but yeah, but I don't go around like looking at things because that's not healthy. To like, oh, this is a sign. That's a sign. Oh, that means something. Oh, this means something because one day I was almost hit by a cement mixer truck and I got spared. And I interpreted that as me being a goddamn idiot because the way the lights were set up, the lights would be green one way and red the other way. So I read that it was a red light on the one side that I could see. So I assumed it was a red light on both sides, and it wasn't. And I went right in front of a cement truck on a bicycle. And if my foot would have slipped off the pedals, as they tended to do, or if I just didn't quite time it right, I timed it with the assumption that that traffic was stopping. It was not stopping. So I nearly got killed that day, and I took that as a sign of my own stupidity and not a sign that I was being spared for some special purpose. Unless my special purpose was to stop the shakes by going down to the corner store and buying a 40. Unless my special purpose was to drink beer to calm my nerves. I mean, that's not a good way to go through life. And it's not good for your sanity to go around reading signs and everything. But that is interesting that I've had such a rough time with my family. Like I said, I walk in on a family reunion. That's not even my family, and they treat me like a long lost prodigal son. and, you know, and then I walk into the family where I'm an actual son, and they treat me not so nice and cold and distantly. So it's just weird and memorable. But yeah, I'm kind of like remembering the nurse that picked me up in the pickup truck because I was walking past Myers Lake and I still had a long way to go because Myers Lake is by my uh, brother's house. We used to trespass there and fish, and there's this road called 12th Street that goes around Myers Lake where I got picked up. She saw me walking, she's like, "What in the hell are you doing out here?" And what I was doing was probably experiencing a little dehydration, which I seem to be. I seem to could use a little drink of something right now. And yeah, like I said, I just stayed all night at this place fishing. And I held up my fishing rod and said, "I'm fishing." I was fishing. Where were you fishing at? And I told her where I was fishing. Like, she thought I lost my goddamn mind. She's like, "You walked all that way?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I did not tell her that I walked there as well as walking back and stayed there all night. I remember I had mosquito bites like all over me, but I was in such a state of mind, like while I was having that experience, like I didn't know it until the next day, and I was just covered with welts because the mosquitoes were really bad there. But I didn't even notice they were biting me. I was too hooked up with whatever that thing is that people give all kind of names to, that's out there and in here and everywhere. So, anyways, I'll stop it there. I really do need to get something to drink, and yeah, I'll talk to you in a couple of days. I need to yeah, get out of here, find some place, something to do, or some place to go before Monday, cause cabin fever. Anyways, I hope you're having a good time in general, and if not having a good time, having a bearable time. And I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.